Mine would necessarily not be a question, because as far as I can remember, every November we have this exchange forum, and it's always accompanied by beautiful recommendations. We can see the determination of our head of state in fighting corruption and by improving on the management of public finances, because we have so many institutions created for that purpose. You have ANIF, you have CONAG, you have Supreme State Control, and many others. Some even do similar work, but the end goal is to improve on the management of public finances. My preoccupation is that anytime we meet here, we formulate recommendations, beautiful recommendations, all aimed at empowering the Audit Bench of the Supreme Court to effectively do its work. And anytime we meet, same recommendations are made. At times, I'm beginning to feel that this exchange forum is fast becoming the General Assembly of the United Nations that meets every September to formulate recommendations, resolutions, a long list of resolutions that are never executed. Heads of state meet all over. So we are fast becoming that, because when you look at the beautiful exposés that have been made by my colleagues, it all borders about recommendations from two angles. Recommendations from the Audit Bench itself, some that are never executed, some that are beautifully couched but remain dead letters. And on the other hand, you have recommendations that emanate from our yearly meetings, majority of which are never executed. In fact, I continue to say, as long as the Audit Bench of the Supreme Court, I'm a magistrate, I know what I'm talking about, remains under the Supreme Court, they cannot do their work effectively. It's impossible. In other countries, it's an independent institution that does its work and report to a higher authority. And of course, in other countries, they are even given powers, coercitative powers, to compel, because when you only limit your work at recommendations, you instill no fears. You instill no fears to those you recommend. From the expose, I can hear recommendations are made to the Minister of Finance at times. That replies to say, okay, we have heard, but we'll see how to do it properly. It ends there. So, the Audit Bench, the way I look at them, compared with other institutions that are dealt with proof of public finances, CONAG, if you compare the working condition of CONAG and that of the Audit Bench, it's day and night. It's day and night. CONAG is well empowered to do its work, and other institutions are well empowered to do their work. But the Audit Bench, when you look at their operationalities, the way they function, there is still no fears, because they don't have the means. And of course, they don't have any independent budget. Your budget, we have always said it, your budget is the budget of the Supreme Court. And of course, it depends who is the president of the Supreme Court at any given time. He knows where his interests and priorities are. Maybe the Audit Bench may not be one of those branches of the Supreme Court that is in his priorities. He's the boss. He's not the president of the Audit Bench. So in that kind of climate, we don't expect much from you, Because what it takes to do your work, you don't have. Last time we recommended that, for effective work, you need to decentralize. You'll be working with councils, you'll be working with this and that. To decentralize your functions, you need the finances. You need the means. You cannot do it with the limited means that we all know. So, and I think what is actually going wrong is that the audit bench is there, depends on the same people they are there to control. You depend on them. And what do you expect them to really empower you to control them? It's impossible. It's impossible. So I am strongly recommending, I don't know how far all our recommendations go, a reform of the institution, as long as the institutions are not reformed, to make an audit institution that has what it takes to do its work. You will remain a dog that barks but can't do anything. And I know my colleagues very well. I know even the president is somebody who is determined to do his work, but he can only go as far as the means available at his disposal permits him to go. So the conclusion I want to make is, should we continue every November, meet here, exchange forum, exchange very good ideas, talk. Next November we'll meet, read out the report of what we discussed last year, maybe formulate additional recommendations that go no way. I listened to the expose and recommendations were made that some ministerial committee, it should be even above that. A committee should be set up with the government and parliament and audit bench to monitor the execution of all these recommendations. Otherwise, nothing will ever be done. Any institution that is there to say, don't steal, don't mismanage, can never be liked by people. If you want the audit bench to be applauded by the same people who manage public finances, no, they will not. But if we want to change things in our mentality, in our system of financial management, some bold measures have to be taken to empower the audit bench to effectively do its work. Thank you.